I was originally with the Interurban. I still have it as a bookcase. It's about 6'9" by 6'9". It's a big one, and it fit right in there. And they sold pot for a nickel.
In October 1st, 1930, they abandoned the Freeport and the Beloit lines. And they were losing $4,000 annual, I think. And, you know, the more they continued, the more they lost. A lot of it was because they were being sued for various accidents. In the 1940s, the last trolley car was hauled down 10th Street, I think, near 11th, and they burned it in the street. There were, Broadway and 10th, which is where the old Turner School was, where the police station is now, and they had 10,000 people there watching it. Because they said, now we'll have something more modern, but what was more modern didn't go all the places that the old one had. I remember the electric buses that went up North Main, and then they came back and switched at John Street and went in on North Church Street. That had the power source in the street on wires, and but it was still electrified, but that was how they ran it. It says in 1903 they were using 200 men and 60 teams to break the ground and get the new line put in. So it was a huge, and then they had a bad wreck on it. In 1904, near the home of Mrs. Griffin, which was across Elida on Bluff Street. She was the lady that was murdered later. Anderson's farm house, yes. It says that in 1904, they put signals at all road crossings, because before that, people would drive their thing right in front of the car and they'd get smashed. It says in 1907, the Interurban Company purchased a stone quarry north of the stone school. Well, you remember that little one-room school at Lincoln Park, and where they dug the gravel out is where the county and the city both have those highway department places. Those were the quarries at one time. Here's a schedule for 1908. The car left Freeport for Winnebago 5:30 a.m. and it arrived at 6:30 in Rockford. Each hour until 12, and from Winnebago, from Rockford, 6:30 it. In 1908, William Riley of Winnebago, of Bluff Street, sued the Interurban for $600 because they had lines, of course, power lines, and they cut all his trees, which were next to them, and he said they damaged all of his property and he wanted them to pay for it. I didn't find whether he ever got any money. It says that in 1909, the Interurban was paying the city of Rockford a franchise fee of $2,000 for using their tracks for part of the line. There was an electrical storm, 1910, that put the line from Elgin to Belvedere completely out. In 1910, November, from the McGahey farm, which is where Ralph lives on the highway here. A team of horses worth $500 was destroyed. His son-in-law was Mr. Campbell and had the smaller house up there and inherited that. In 1910, it said Frank Burdick resigned as agent for the Interurban station. He'd been working there. They had a trolley league that played baseball with teams from all the different places it went. 1911, Pecatonica, E.J. Keyes resigned as agent for the Interurban and was succeeded by Harry G. Allen of Winnebago. In 1911, there were 30 stops on the Rockford-Janesville route that were dropped. There were too many. Well, that's where those kids had ridden to Harlem School. So, in 1912, there were 2 trains daily from Rockford to Chicago and return. It took 3 hours to go by the trolley. No dust and no cinders, the ad said. 1913, there was a farmer that was hit by the car. This was Guy Andrews, who was a relative of the McRae's, wasn't he? He was returning from delivering milk to the creamery. It says in 1915 they had a meeting at the Stone School, which was Lincoln Park, and it was overflowing with interurban riders from as far as Winnebago because they didn't like the schedule. In 1916, a new depot was put up at McNair's Crossing. That would have been Keith Road. In 1919 to 24, they reduced their service. And there was a bad wreck, 1925 at Farwell's Bridge, which was west of Rydot. East of Rydot, I'm sorry. It has a bridge over the river there. It killed the motorman and one passenger. It says 1928, they discontinued the 50-cent road trips back to Rockford. And they were dropping service, and in 1930, there was a Roscoe farmer killed, and that's when they quit, was 1930. Did anyone here ever ride the Interurban? We're all a little too young. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, and a number of people from Winnebago did that.
Because they only had Cleaver High School, one big one.
Yeah.
They wrote that Cleaver.
Any other additions? It's amazing the building is there. It had a lot of different businesses. Didn't Dan Hurd have his countertop business in there for a while too? And the other one was the cemetery. The Gales had used it for storage. And Mr. Bates with his repair. Did it just have a pot-bellied stove in it to heat?
I don't remember,
That was typical of the time. And they both had carried passengers on different schedules. And the one at Allworth had a certain amount of passenger service for a while.
I don't know about all of it, but Surinary, didn't they hang the mail bag out?
Yes, and it got picked up, right? Right. But I think they did that on the trolley as well, because the mail came by the Interurban.
My mother was the editor of the Winnebago Reflector,
Yes,
and the publisher was in Durham. And we'd have to rush to the train here with the package of the paper to be sent to the publisher. And the conductor or whoever would pick it up, and then he'd toss it off when they got to Pecatonica.
and it got hauled some other
Pay
way.
somebody from Durham to pick it up.
Well, that was quite a service because it was just 2 open pages of the Durand Gazette that carried the Winnebago news. And we tried to order those microfilms, and when we got them, they were the Durand edition that didn't have the Winnebago in it, so we couldn't use them. But there were people who saved us the papers. Did any of you know Faith Armstrong, who was the Rockford librarian? And she
was
got
my aunt's sister.
the paper and she saved it all. And in recent years at Rockford, they said, "We don't want all those papers, don't you want them?" And I said, "Yes." But, you know, she had faithfully saved it week by week, and there were years of it there.
But she was originally from Winnebago.
Yes, right.
Because the local library had it around now. This is paper.
Yes. We had some of them put on microfilm, but we still had the originals too. And they need to be done once more in order to get onto the internet. consult them that way, so we got more technology to go through. It's in discussion. It costs money to do it.
All right, is there anyone else that has anything that they'd like to share? Otherwise, I think we can wrap up. The final slide, obviously, thank you all for coming this evening. There's some information on there about the Winnebago Community Historical Society. If you're interested, also, I'm not going to go through everything that we have available back in the back there, but you know, feel free to have a look at the different displays that we have. Still have some refreshments left. And if nothing else, if you want to sit and reminisce and talk and have a cookie, that's fantastic. Otherwise, thank you, Mr. Rowley, for putting all this together. And once again, thanks for coming. You are dismissed.
What's the day that she was little?
Yeah, my ankle bones were here.
Well, she had been pretty young.
Getting up was hard. I had
Must have been a better ride. More reliable, probably.
I bet you remember a lot of faces, but no names. Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Earlier,
Do we remember books?
they were all alphabetical.
Yeah, yes.
Like when I bought the one that had the H's,
Yeah.
but I was just telling my sister we should have one that had the Sheldon.
That would be S.H. Sheldon?
Yeah.
Okay, well, let me mark that. There's no, get a pen. Excuse me.
I got the book that got the H's, the Herberts around them.
Fill that out for me. Carl, just fill that out, and then John has to go get it because we don't have all those here.
But he don't have to get it now.
No, he won't get it now. We'll call you or I'll get it to you, okay? Just write that down and we'll take care of it later.
Right down to the ground. We want the Sheldon.
What, Sheldon's? Yeah.
Big load run around, or did they have a crane up on the car? They have.
Just what you want is this one. S-U-S-A. Check that out. Check them out there. And your cost would be $14.80 because you're a charter member.
I do remember my sister. I know who she is. Jim Harper. Jim Harper. Well, I got the 8th one. I was still get the other.
Yes, neighborhood, yes. You know, I